Well, there's a little wandering cat with no tail. In Bakersfield, California. I know Bakersfield is the kind of the butt of a number of jokes in California, but if you ask me, I'd rather stay in Bakersfield than LA or San Francisco, because that's kind of where they're between. Because if you're between LA and San Francisco, it's really San Francisco has huge amounts of property crime. So does LA. So Bakersfield is kind of safe compared to those. But it's also a great spot because you're near a number of national parks. You're just a half hour away, and you don't get the prices of the national parks of the hotels that are around there. So you can save like 50% on the hotel crowd. And that's where we start our day. Starting off from Bakersfield, oh, it's California. First off, let no one tell you that California doesn't have an oil and gas territory, because there are a couple stretches here. You can see the pumps going here, so you know they're as much environmentally friendly as they want to say they are. They're not as environmentally friendly as they think they are. The next section here, you can see kind of like just the breadbasket of California. You know, California is responsible for about 1/3 of the produce that's grown in the United States, basically because they can turn desert into farm and they can have 2 growing seasons. You know, so we leave a lot of it to them, and the rest of the country, well, we just kind of enjoy the spoils, as it were. So I'm not actually stopping here for any particular reason, but you can see all the landscape around me, the farm, the ranch. But out there you can just see the road goes and goes and goes. And in the distance are mountains, and in the distance are mountains and mountains. That's where I'm headed. It's gonna be a great ride. But here's the real beauty as you're headed into the mountains. The just grasslands. This whole area, if you were to get down to it, is ranching territory. So you can just kind of speed through. Very isolated, very desolate, and you can really enjoy it. And as you just kind of climb, the elevation slowly climbs, and the views get more and more spectacular. You can see the trees slowly dotting out. More and more trees, because the kind of terrain of California is so wide and variable. You can sometimes go through several different iterations just in the elevations in a single day. It's truly remarkable, just kind of just with the mountainous regions of the Sierra Nevada mountain range, and as you just kind of climb off into it. It's really hard to say as the views slowly get better and better. First you're looking at the mountains, like up at them, and then you slowly start to climb into them, and you're starting to look down, you're starting to get these valley views. It's starting to look really, really pristine and really great. And that's when you kind of hit like a nice little stride going up the Sierra Nevadas. And you can really kind of lean into the turns, and you can tell there's no cars around anywhere, and you can look off to your side, and you can just look down the valley and just really enjoy the ride. It's best here to just kind of get a tune stuck in your head that you can just kind of like repeat over and over and over. Just don't make it annoying. And just something you like, and just have it repeat over. One funny thing I did learn about that is that many times when a song is stuck in your head, it's really just your brain trying to finish the song, trying to get some kind of some kind of completion to the song. So sometimes it's actually better if you just kind of like, just try and finish the song in your head. Just look how grand this is. What's not to love? And the road is basically deserted. I'm too early for the summer scene, so I got it to myself. And of course, you know, those cows on the road, can't miss those. Look how great this looks. Now, as for elevation, I want to say I'm gonna go with 5,000 feet above sea level. The last sign I saw was 4,000. I've been climbing pretty steadily for a while, so I'm gonna guess it's like 5,000. If you're asking for a temperature, I'm guessing it's high 50s. But look at this, and there are people who live down there. Now, the thing that gets me is that there's some houses like way out in the middle of nowhere, and you're wondering, how do they supply it? The only thing I can think of is either have to hike it in or helicopter it in. Because there's some places I don't know how they do it. There's just some houses, like they have to have a helicopter somehow like supplying the house. I see like solar panels, so I know where they're getting their power from, and I gotta imagine they have a well to get water, but as for like food, it's gotta be like flown in. Here we are, up near the plateau. I mean, the road's seen better days, obviously, but hey, not complaining here as you just climb and climb and climb. There actually are towns up here, very sparse, and from what I can tell, all of them are just towns basically associated with maintaining the woodlands and the parks. None of these people, like, there's some logging that actually does go on up here, but for the most part, most of the people work in kind of forestry services. And of course, you can start to see like some snow popping up. Yep, I'm getting up into that elevation and closing in around 9,000 feet. It gets kind of like testy because you don't see elevation markers too much, so you kind of have to make guesstimates of how high you are. I don't know who's watching this, but if you really watch it, some of this is just absolute fantastic riding. You know, just you, pristine sky, pristine scenery, oh, and the wind whipping through you, and the temperature was just right. Couldn't get much better than this. Just sit back and enjoy. Just lean into the turns and just allow to just see it all through. You also notice there's no guardrails. There are never any guardrails. It'd be too hard to, I guess, pay to put them in, and the road's probably hard enough to maintain as it is. So they probably need the extra space off the road in case they need to repair the road. So there are no guardrails. So mistakes are unforgiving. are. We're in the Sierra Nevada mountains. This right here is that river. But the one thing I can tell you about the river is that it must be huge when it comes to fishing, fly fishing especially, because I've seen a whole lot of signs that says, "Welcome here, you anglers." You know, angle fishing. But here I am in this beautiful, I'm just a little south of Yosemite. So this whole region, the Yosemite is just in this strip of mountains and just gorgeous nature. So even if you're not going to Yosemite and you want to see something else, there's still tons to see. And some of it, you know, you don't have to pay a fee to get into into here. This is just a national forest. I think you have to pay a fee if you're going to camp, but Yosemite you have to pay a fee just to get in the park. This you can ride through and drive through. I mean, if you're going to camp, I think you have to have a fee. There's a fee, but I think fishing is free. I mean, you need a permit if you want to cook or basically light a fire because of concerns over, obviously, forest fires. But yes. I doubt anyone bungee jumps on this. So, you know what's the funny thing about this? My ears, like, you go up and down, like my ears actually pop. I did see tons of like great fishing spots with tons of areas where they were talking about fly fishers, you know, anglers, all this stuff. I mean, I gotta imagine they're inundated with fishes. I gotta imagine they're inundated with fishermen at different times of the year, or anglers, or you know, I don't really know much of the fisherman lingo, so I'll just leave it at that. This right here is the Sherman Pass Road. It's 75 miles of poorly maintained road that actually cuts through the Sierra Nevadas. But it's a hell of a ride. I don't know why it's named so or whatnot, but I'll figure that out sometime later. You gotta love the rock formations and just kind of tearing through the things. Occasionally you come across a choice of to turn right or left when the road will fork. Now the interesting thing is that your GPS may or may not work. It sometimes doesn't work around here. So you have to kind of guess on your best guess of what direction you should go in. And you can be wrong. It's very easy to go wrong and end up being going down a service road instead of the main road that kind of goes through. And I've been on a road or two that just stopped. A number of the trees you're seeing were actually burned because the California fires actually did sweep through here. I want to say like 2 years ago. It's hard to keep track of the California fires. They have some every single year, so it's hard to tell where they hit unless you're like there at the time that it happened or you're in the area so you can kind of take mental notes of when it happened. Mostly as you go along here, you'll just notice signs for like camping and hiking trails. I mean, besides all the maintenance stuff and some authorized vehicle pullouts. But as the rest of it is just, this is just pure recreational area. Enjoy it as best you can. Okay, here we are at the top of the, well, not, supposedly we're at 8,000, maybe 8,500 feet near the top. We'll see if I can continue up the Sherman Pass. That motorcyclist there is telling me that there's snow up ahead. Maybe he said a half a foot, maybe a few inches. We'll see. We'll see. I do not have the right tires for it. I absolutely do not. So if it gets bad, I'm gonna have to like quit and head back down. Still got plenty of gas, so it'll be just disappointing.
I mean, that would make it just always.
It's so unfortunate. Can't make it any further. I'm crying.
No, you'll be fine. You'll find the right girl. Or...
But, oh, at last, I was blocked. I actually wanted to take that road. That road was another 70 miles or so. And I knew, like, the last 30 would be fine. And it just seemed to be elevation-wise. So, there would be probably a stretch of 10 miles we'd be up the elevation where I could bump into places where it was blocked like that. I could probably get my bike through it, but I didn't know if I would have to be pushing the bike through, say, like a mile of snow if if it continued, because you couldn't see around the next bend. And when I got around the next bend, it looked like it was happening again, not too far, so it was best to turn around. But even so, the route I took here, oh, still absolutely gorgeous. Could absolutely love it. Oh, this is just so much fun. This is gorgeous territory, and it only fills up like during vacation season and mainly on weekends. And granted, there'll be a lot of campers or whatnot during specific times of the year, but it's still very desolate. It's one of those unknown regions because most people who come from around the country and around the world will hit the hot spots. Yosemite, Yellowstone, those things garnish the huge crowds, and these areas, while not as spectacular, are still very gorgeous areas and well worth a visit. And this is California at its finest, rather than a lot of cities which will define California at its worst.